Printing something on the screen requires access to input-output devices and other hardware. Therefore, we need to ask the kernel to do this for us. And as we know, we talk to the kernel and ask it to do the jobs which require the direct access to hardware using system calls. We have more than 300 system calls. So the question is, how do we specify which system call we want the kernel to invoke for us? For example, for printing on the screen, we want to just invoke the write system call, which is for writing things on the output. But the question is that how could we let the kernel to know that? Well, the thing is that all the system calls, they all have a unique number. If I press Ctrl Shift and T in here and use the locate, they are all in a file called unistd64.h, I think, and this is the path to this file. If I just copy it in here and use the nano editor to open it, you could see that all the system calls, they all have a number. If I go at the end of the page using Ctrl and V, we have 332 system calls. I press Ctrl Y to go to the first page, and if you notice, the write system call has the value of 1 in here. So what we could do is to first put the number of the system calls which we want the kernel to invoke in a specific register, the RAX register in this case. And then when we create an interrupt to pass the control to the kernel would look at that register, the RAX register, looks at the number and invoke the related system call, but every system call would have some arguments. Therefore, we need to pass the arguments also. We could pass the arguments in other general purpose registers like RDI, RSI, RDX, R10, R8, and R9. We could pass up to 6 different arguments to the related system call. So we have RAX to put the number of the system call that we want the kernel to invoke, and we have other registers to pass the arguments related to that specific system call. So in here, now we know that we want to invoke the write system call. So in the text section, we use in the start actually in here, which is the entry point, as the first instruction, we just say move. MOV is for moving data from one location to other location. We are using the Intel syntax, so it would be first the destination. The destination, we want it to be RAX register, and then it's the source. So I want to pass it the number 1. I want to pass number 1 to the RAX register. So when the kernel looks at it, it knows that it should invoke the right system call. Now we need to pass other arguments, but how do we know that there are different arguments of the write system call? Well, we open another terminal and just use the man page write. Actually, it's write.to in here. I did some research and I found out that the manual page related to this is the write.to. So in here, it says that it takes 3 arguments. The first one would be the file descriptor to which we want to send the data. The second one would be a pointer to the string that we want to just print, or to the array or buffer that we want to get and print them on the screen. And the third one would be the size of that string. We need to pass all of these 3 arguments.